Good evening, race fans. Welcome to CRN's live coverage of the CSRL GT Series as we're here at round number 8, and we're at Interlagos, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace here in Brazil. Certainly the site of a lot of good races, whether it's here in CSRL, over in the Core GT Series. It's a fun track. Got a long straightaway from the final corner. Well, I guess technically not the final corner, but the final real corner. They actually need to do a little braking all the way, all the way down through into the first corner. There's a long straightaway, a good chance to get a little draft, maybe get a passing opportunity into turn number 1. But you got tricky infield section that you're taking a look at right there. A lot of back and forth. It's undulating. It's got a little bit of everything. It's a lot of hairpins. There's some that you're gonna have to really sweep out wide and cut it at the apex. It's technical, to say the least. Carl Handwork joined in a booth at some point here with Jimmy Covert. He'll be in here with me in a moment, but while we got some time, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at last week's moment of the race, the DSS moment of the race from Sebring. And just like the title says, it was a final lap battle for the overall win, unlike any others. Craig Jancic in the lead, and Noah Bourgeois right behind him, trying to steal it away. And for a moment, it looked like it was done and dusted as Bourgeois was finally able to get a good run down into the hairpin, sent the move, and it stuck for a moment. But Craig Jancic telegraphed it, knew exactly what was going to happen. Bourgeois overshot it. Jancic with the over-under, got the pass back, and again, it looked like Craig Jancic was going to walk away as the victor for it. But there's a reason that this is unlike anything that we've seen in a little bit, because this thing was not over. It was not done and dusted. And you see right behind him there, Chris Hamilton waiting for the right moment for both, anything to happen, for one of them to slip up. And even with lap cars in front, you see Craig Jancic was on the high beams quite frequently, trying to get anyone that he could out of the way, and let him just run free here and try and get away from Bourgeois. But it was through final S's here that it looked like it was a good enough lead for Jancic over Bourgeois. But we'll just sit back and enjoy the final run that they made here through Sunset. Epic dive to the inside there for Bourgeois. Gets him the win right there, as you see, going across the line over Jancic. Hamilton finishes in third, but you've seen him kind of check up mid-corner as well. He already knew that Jancic was looking to maybe get another crossover done. It seemed like Jancic did cut back to the inside, but just didn't have a good enough drive through mid-corner there in Sunset. And it was the last corner, last lap pass that we always love to see up here in the booth. Maybe not so much for Jancic. I'm sure he didn't really enjoy too much, but it was either way a fantastic run all the way to the end. As we are finishing up with qualifying, and looks like I got my my co-commentator in here, but I'll let him get in here and get all situated first as we look at a little bit of a hazy Brazil here. It should clear up a little bit as the race gets up and going here. Again, just finishing up with qualifying, so got maybe a minute or so until the final cars make their passes by the start finish line, and still got some jockeying through the positions here. We got some new faces out here as well, and you're going to hear them pretty early on in the standings here for qualifying, as we got Johan De Roy out there here tonight. Looks like he's making his CSRL debut and doing it very well here, at least so far in qualifying. But just waiting for final seconds to tick off here. In the meantime, there he is. In the meantime, I was going to say, Jimmy, do we got you?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, definitely, good to see some new names out here, building the field just each and every week, and trying to get out here and mix it up with the drivers out here, and definitely one heck of a lineup there, Carl. Does look like the results are in on my end, if you want me to go through them.
Yes, they're still showing finishing up on my side, but everybody is done and dusted. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, feel free to give us a rundown of tonight's starting order.
Yeah, tonight's starting order is going to be Noah Bourgeois out front there again, just kind of showing the dominance that he's been having here over the past few weeks, really battling it out with Craig Jancic. Mason Smith finds himself on that front row tonight here as well, and then Johan DeRoy, like you're saying, a newcomer here on row number 2 with Craig Jancic, sitting P number 4. Row number 3 is going to be Bryce Reiner with Jesse Mosley, another newcomer here in 6th place. Javi Sierra up there in 7th. Jason Phillips is going to be in 8th. Christopher Hamilton back in 9th. Dave Tilford in 10th. Kyle Kobler in 11th. Tyler Torville in 12th. Herbert Pineda back in 13th. Frank Pisano 14th. Cesar Torres in 15th. Jim Dutton in 16th. Christian Torres back at 17th. David Wells in 18th. Brandon Potts in 19th. Glenn Luzon will be in for your top 20. 21st is going to be your Renan Dilemma. 22nd, John Espada. Zane Bierman back in 23rd. Bill Burrell back there in 24th, also along with Ian Wilson in 25th. 26th is Michael Ray Galan, and then Paul Bailey back there in 27th. So 27 drivers out here. Carl, the consistent, pretty nice sized fields here is always a nice thing to see at CSRL.
Yeah, absolutely, especially getting to the late stage of the season. This is, as you've seen there, round number 8 for the series, as they are in the back half of the schedule at this point. They got 3 more races left. We got Suzuka coming up next week, and certainly going to be a lot of drivers, I'm sure, coming off of the Suzuka. Is it Suzuka 1000, Jimmy? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
10 hour, like whatever it is.
No, it's about 6, a little over 6 hours, I believe, in the car.
Yeah, either way, it's a special event here for iRacing at Suzuka, so I'm sure a lot of drivers will have some experience that they're going to try and carry over here into round number 9 next week. Then we'll have the week off for Thanksgiving, and then back at it for 2 more races in December with Watkins Glen, and then the 2-hour season finale at Bathurst. So getting towards the end of the season here, but we still got some points battles that are starting to take shape, and certainly with some more performances and more last lap passes there for Noah Bourgeois, maybe he's still got a chance here in the hunt, as he is 26 points behind Craig Jancic coming into tonight. But again, he's got the pole here, so we'll see how he can convert it. Chris Hamilton, Tyler Torville, and Bryce Reiner for your top 5 in the Platinum Division. In the Gold, it is Kyle Peach Kobler on top of the boards by 60 points over Herbert Pineda, Cesar Colon Torres, Christian Ortiz Torres, and Stephen McLean for your top 5. But definitely a good size points lead there for Kobler. In the Silver Division, it is William Burrell leading by 44 points over John Espada, Todd Torville, Trent Playlock, and Alain Below for your top 5. And then Simon Seguin is your top scoring rookie so far that is yet to make their way into the divisions here. But certainly, as we mentioned, we got another rookie out there here tonight, another Canadian as well. So certainly the Canadians have been really showing up lately, and Jim Dutton, he's definitely not the top Canadian anymore, as Noah Bourgeois has certainly shown plenty of pace. Now you got Johan DeRoy out there. Hopefully, as a Phillies fan, I don't end up calling him Johan Duran at any point, the closer for the Phillies. But either way, DeRoy out there in the top 3 already, and then Jesse Mosley out there as well, up there in 6th place to start this thing. We're ready for 45 minutes of action here. We'll take it down there to the front stretch. There we go. As you take a look at Bourgeois, and one thing I see, Jimmy, we got a ton of Fords out there, as we typically do, but maybe not Ford dominant here tonight. In fact, the top row, the first row, no Fords in the first row for quite possibly the first time this season, as we got a Chevy on the pole, and then an Aston Martin stepping up there and going to the outside of the front row, but then followed by 4 Fords right after it. But we are ready for some racing action here, and we'll send it down to Barney. You see him waving that green flag We're racing down to turn 1 here at Interlagos.
Yeah, down to turn 1, you can see them all spread out if you get a little farther angle there. And just kind of getting that treacherous turn 1 start down as goes down into like a chicane and this, and it's really easy to kind of get the car out of shape and down into here when you're single file, let alone double file. But do a fantastic job, get through there with them cold tires.
Heading now down into turn number 4. Kind of a fast left-hander here. Your first chance, you're really hard on the brakes though after turn number 1. And then you start to head into the infield section. This is where it's just kind of switchback after switchback. As we have an incident, and that is, it's like Bryce Reiner going sideways off the track, lost a ton of positions. Jim Dutton looks like he's also getting caught up in that one, sliding back a few positions. But looks like our front 4 are still holding serve here, as yep, everybody's still out there pacing around. And yeah, Jimmy, as I mentioned, I mean, this track right here, all the way from turn number 4 through turn number 12, kind of the infield section of this track, it's back and forth. It's kind of like, you know, the longest S section that you'd ever go through, but not all of them are built the same. I mean, they're all, you know, kind of hairpins in their own, but some of them you're jumping to the inside and staying on the inside the entire time. Some of them you're starting way outside and kind of really cutting in on an angle. They're all built differently.
Yeah, and that gives the driver behind to take maybe see an opening that they think they can squeeze in there and put that driver kind of in a funny predicament or just an off situation, you know. So you gotta really pay attention the driver behind you if they decide to take a earlier entry into the corner, you know, making you stick to the outside, but it could pay off coming to the next turn. So you just gotta watch the switchbacks, the left to rights, the weight transfer of the car. And kind of weirdly to say, Carl, this is actually one of my favorite tracks when it comes down to running. I was out there just prior to while they were practicing. I got a chance to get out there and run a few laps, and I was running some laps here just last week, just for fun, all by myself, but running in the 131s, which I found quite surprising considering that's what the top 10 were in with their speeds. So yeah, it's just one of those tracks. The mid-engine car really does kind of flow real nice through here. I was running the McLaren, the Vet ran really nice here. I found my fastest times though actually with the Mercedes, and I don't know if it was just because I already had a bunch of laps that day or something, but it's definitely getting close to that one in the 130 mark here with these cars, if it's possible, because you know when you start getting them bottom, you know, portions of that you know, those seconds that, you know, you're at 131, you know, 0.5, you know, it's in there somewhere that, I mean, if you just do something right and just hit the marks perfectly, you can get the perfect lap and get your fastest time ever. But these drivers are doing a pretty good job right now. Noah Bourgeois, you know, obviously showing that he likes technical tracks, already out to a 1.4 second lead over Mason Smith.
Yeah, this is a track that I really enjoy as well. I mean, whether it's, you know, in the GTs, whether it's on, you know, Formula One games, I always kind of like Interlagos. Not great at it, no matter what game, whether it's F1 or GT. I'm not, you know, the best at the track, but I like it. It's a fun, unique kind of track. It's you know, unlike any other, and you know, especially broadcasting is where I really like it the most, because there's so many cool views. You know, certainly, you know, the distant scenic views of Brazil, but also, you know, just taking a look from kind of the top up by the pit boxes down over the entire infield area, and then the long stretch from turn number 12 all the way to turn number 1 is just an amazingly long run. It kind of reminds you of the length of the straightaways at Le Mans, but it's got a couple little kinks mixed in throughout the front stretch. But the start of the race here looks pretty good for majority of the field. Noah Bourgeois in the lead, Mason Smith, Craig Jancic now getting past Johan Garoy, and then Javi Sierra for your top 5. Chris Hamilton, Jesse Mosley, Jason Phillips, Bryce Reiner, and Kyle Kobler for your top 10.
Yeah, this track, you know, just Yeah, I don't know. I've had good success here. Pretty much any time I've ran here with the GT3 cars and rain, it doesn't matter. That was a turn 4, the down the hill left, where it's so inviting to go a lot faster than when what you really need to do is sometimes you don't think you need to catch that second gear to kind of get that car to maybe rotate. So heavy braking obviously being needed, just kind of almost an illusion for that corner. So until you take it to 100 and sometimes, I finally figured out that you can't go quite that fast without kind of going wide and getting an off track. There's a few areas where you'll get the off tracks really simple here, and they can add up quickly, and you might find yourself serving a penalty if the league that you're in has those. But yeah, this track is one that I like quite a bit. Maybe not my favorite track, but just able to, as far as being able to drive it, been able to kind of hook up with it with especially the GT3 cars. So kind of jealous they're out there running, and we'll sit up here in the booth, watch them run here, and you got Noah Bourgeois up there right now, but Mason Smith turned the fastest lap with a 131. Well, previous lap, but Noah Bourgeois just cracking the 131.17, and then Mason answering with a 131.08. So Mason maybe going to be on the hunt here to track down Noah Bourgeois as he's within that 1 second window.
Yeah, good to see Mason back out there as well. But yeah, getting back to turn number 4, I agree. I don't know what it is about that corner. I don't know if it's off camber or what, because I mean, if you look at it from the car, from the track map, it doesn't matter. It just looks like an unsuspecting 90-degree left-hand corner. It doesn't look like, looking at it right here, it doesn't look there's anything to it. But I feel like it's got to be off camber or something like that, and maybe just long enough that it turns from a kind of sharper left-hand 90-degree corner to one that's a little bit more sweeping, and it's like you said, it's so inviting to get on the gas early, and you're going to drift out there, and usually as soon as you clip those the curbs on the outside, it'll just keep sending it out further and further, and you're not going to get into trouble. There's a good runoff area out there, but you will get the off track, and if you go too far out there, you're going to have a slowdown penalty as well. So it's as you said, it's rather inviting, but you have to be smart about it. You just got done running, two of the longest straightaways on the track, and you want to get back on the gas, but patience.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the left-hander that leads to the back stretch that shoots you across the start-finish line. There's a lot of runoff off to the right side, and you just got to be careful with how far you take your car over there. Them off tracks will add up quickly, and like I said, and if you go too far to the right, to open up that corner to make that nice left so you can get that run down that last straightaway, you find yourself just in trouble with some of the incident points until you find out how wide your car actually is. So, but just kind of looking back here at Christopher Hamilton, taking a look at Javi Sierra, moving that number 64 up into P number 5.
It looks like, I don't think Javi Sierra realized he had another car going through there as well as Jesse Mosley trying to capitalize, and he's indeed going to move himself up into 6th position right behind Hamilton. So Sierra trying to stop the bleeding here, because right away, see Jason Phillips trying to get up there as well, but Sierra's going to slam the door here and hold on to 7th place for the time being. But that's one thing is these cars kind of get into, I know they don't have DRS, but akin to a DRS train in F1 where they're all just running behind each other. Nobody can make a pass, but then as soon as somebody does, as soon as somebody opens that door, all of a sudden it's just everybody comes flooding through. It's if you look at oval racing, it's sometimes where you get out of that bottom groove, you get to the outside, and you just get freight trained, and that's kind of what happens here. You got to get back in as quick as possible. So obviously Sierra loses a couple spots, but he's still back there in 7th. But yeah, certainly looking at the times lap after lap after lap here, and we'll bring up the lap times to show you that it is a little bit faster every single lap here for Mason Smith, trying to run down Noah Bourgeois, but Bourgeois was out to over a second lead. So he's losing time every single lap, but he's still got an 8, 9 tenths of a second lead, so still got a nice easy drive up front, and you never know, maybe Bourgeois kind of holding back here a little bit, but I would tend to think not, because the last lap didn't count because he had an off track, but it was a 130.84 But Mason Smith kept it on track and ran the fastest lap of the race at 1:30.82. So 0.02 of a second faster. It's enough to get him a little bit closer, but he's going to need those consistently and keep going here to try and reel in your race leader, and a driver that is just like Jancic we've seen earlier this season, can run away with a race, but lately we've seen the races maybe be a little bit closer, and certainly last week at Sebring. Jimmy, last week at Sebring was a banger.
Yeah, I don't think you can ask for well, you can always ask for a better one, but I don't know if we'll get one this season. That was one heck of a finish, you know, all top three were just nose to tail, just kind of really looking for that advantage for somebody to mess up. And it's not even like Craig Jancic made a mistake. You know, Noah Bourgeois really went out there on a limb and took the chance to hope that the car would stick. You know, maybe he had his crew chief's name was Harry or something. He had some special staggered tires or something, but really made that last corner stick there through Sunset and able to hold off for a victory over Craig Jancic. It was one to see and to go for 45 minutes. You know, it's and just be that close to the end. I mean, we see it week in and week out. You know, not always with the top drivers, but sometimes somewhere back in the pack there's somebody battling nose to tail. And right now, the nose to pack tail is the battlefield here. Battlefield right now being right around between the 6th and the 12th place, a kind of area right now where a lot of drivers nose to tail, just kind of waiting for each other to make a mistake or give up a little bit of room for one driver to make it through, and then obviously make their way through. So yeah, just a definite battlefield through the front mid-pack, I guess you'd call it here tonight. But right now it's Noah Bourgeois over Mason Smith by just under a second. And then you have Craig Jancic, Johan back there, Chris Hamilton, Jesse Mosley, Bryce Reiner, Javi Sierra, Jason Phillips, and Kyle Kobler. For top 10. Top 10.
It sounds like you're maybe trying to pitch for last week being a sequel, maybe calling it Sunsets of Thunder. I mean, certainly there's been a lot of great movies from back in the 80s that they've rebooted. You got the Top Gun that came back for a sequel. They've talked about Days of Thunder so long getting a sequel, has not gotten a sequel as of yet. Now you got Spaceballs getting the return. And I seen a photo today of them already taking shots at Star Wars, and I guess the kind of one of the production meeting famous photos for one of the Star Wars movie. They made a duplicate of it, but with all the characters and in the Spaceballs 2 movie, and even had I think in the original photo they had R2-D2 in a crate in the background. Well, here for the Spaceballs 2, they just had a water cooler in a crate, just to it's kind of make a dick out of them, basically, as Spaceballs and Mel Brooks is known to do. And I gotta say, Jimmy, I'm sure there's quite a few out there, probably in the field and maybe even out there tuning in, that don't know who Mel Brooks is. I mean, for me, he was fantastic. I mean, so many of his movies were so great growing up and so funny. Just can't get enough. I know we got off on a little tangent here, but I'd like to get your feel on Mel Brooks.
Obviously growing up, it was one, some of the movies that you watch, and you just kind of go back to times, especially, like Spaceballs, just the type of humor that was out there, just to kind of, as you're sitting on the couch and have a good laugh. But yeah, those movies aren't, they're not around as much as they used to be, so it's good to see that type of humor every now and then. A good chance to go back and even watch a replay of even the originals. So you're kind of interested to see what they bring to the table with like a part 2, just not to ruin what was already there.
They even did show one of the seats had a pizza on the seat, leading to the speculation that Pizza the Hut is going to come back. So nice. Yeah, just put everything in there. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure some out there, the younger fans out there and CRN Nation, look to movies like Scary Movie. That certainly Scary Movie is one that spoofs a lot of the other scary movies and kind of makes fun of them, whether it's Scream or Friday the 13th, things like that. They all got their ideas from Mel Brooks, because that's what Mel Brooks was kind of known for, and kind of, whether it's spoofing Star Wars, whether it's spoofing history, it was great. And I think there's still talks of making another History of the World movie, but that's our little rant for the race, I guess. Here. We're a third of the way through the race here.
We just need to comb it down. We'll finally find it.
We ain't found shit. That's all I know. One of my favorite parts of that movie. Well, either way, back to the race here. We are a third of the way through this thing, and it is still Noah Bourgeois leading this thing. He's starting to stretch his lead back out, 1.7 seconds over Mason Smith. Greg Jancic, Johan DeRoy in fourth, and Chris Hamilton making up your top five. Bryce Reiner bouncing back here pretty nicely, already back up there into sixth position after the early mishap and sliding a little bit sideways. Jesse Mosley, Javi Sierra, Jason Phillips, and Kyle Kobler for your top 10. But it's been a few cars sliding off the track, a few cars going a little bit wide, especially in turn number 4. But all in all, I mean, it's for the most part, I think these drivers are doing a pretty good job keeping everything in between the lines here. I'm not sure I can say the same thing for Jim Dutton. We'll try and go back. I know it's a little bit later in the race at this point, but we'll take a look back and see.
I watched his replay.
We'll see what happened here. This is on lap number 1, and right there gets hooked into the wall, and you see right there lost the rear wing, and I'm sure that's why he ended up towing back into the pits, and I believe that was Zane Bierman that ended up getting into the side of him. Not sure if Jim Dutton just came over not thinking that he was there or what the case was, but then at the same time, looks like it didn't catch Bryce Reiner on that first one, so apologize. We'll go back.
Out Bryce, I was like, Jim Dutton.
Yeah, right here, Bryce Reiner goes a little bit sideways and a heck of a drift all the way to the outside, and a good save. Lost quite a few positions, as you see, but they get it back on track eventually. And now it looks like as we get you back closer to being live, this was Paul Bailey. This is registering as a crash. We'll see. Oh, goes a little bit too wide in the corner there. Nips it out. Got to get stopped, and he does. He gets a stop before he backs it into the wall. So he'll get the 5:69 back on track. But take it back live now. Noah Bourgeois just ran the fastest lap of the race, 1:30.65. As you see that gap expanding even more, and this could be another race where we see a walkaway victory from one of your top 2 in the Platinum Division, and certainly Noah Bourgeois is going to need a few of these. He had a couple bad races, and you can't have really more than one with the way the drop race situation goes here in CSRL. He's got to make up for lost time now, and he's got. I don't know if even winning out can help him here. He may need a mistake from Jancic. We'll see if that ever comes. But right now, I mean, he's at least got Mason Smith in between him and Jancic, and he'd certainly love to keep it that way. He'd love to have at least 1 or 2 cars in between him and Jancic the rest of the season and get the wins. Maybe that'll get him back, within contention, certainly going to the season finale with the double points 2-hour finale.
Yeah, we've seen Craig lose that lead to Mason Smith during that finale, not having the finale that he wanted this last season. So it's just definitely stirred things up. With obviously Mason Smith joining the ranks, and Mason's had a very up and down season, but when he's up, and when he's down, he's really down, and not having the consistency that he had last season is really kind of what's hurting Mason, and I think that's what's hurting Noah Bourgeois as well, is he can be fast, and you see him pull away at some of these technical tracks, but one mistake and that's it. So not having the full consistency to fully compete with Craig Jancic, which a lot of times has found himself like, you know, leading in the front, winning, just really more consistent run here for Jancic overall over his competitors for the most part of the season, just to being able to put himself in a points championship win, you know, as far as that goes. But I think, you know, obviously he can be beat. Noah Bourgeois has shown that a few times this season. Yeah, it takes quite a bit for Craig to make a mistake, and you don't want to hold your breath while doing it, but you don't want to be off your toes when he does, so you can take advantage.
Well, I mean, you can see even for the championship last season with Mason Smith walking away as the champion, he can be beat for the championship as well. It took a while, and he was defending champion for quite a few seasons, but now the season, first time in a long time that he's not the defending champion. And back on top right now, but we'll see, because he's got not just Mason Smith, but he's got some newcomers here that are trying to come up and steal the belt away for yet another time. But Jimmy, I'm looking at the movers and shakers here, and trying to see who's the biggest mover of the race, who's the Chris Burrell Hard Charger Sandbagger Award winner right now. And I mean, really, there's been hardly any movement throughout the entire field. I mean, ones, twos, threes here and there. Biggest mover of the race right now, Ian Wilson. Started 25th. He's up 5 spots, but that is enough right now to be the biggest mover of the race. 5 spots is, I mean, I guess technically you can say Jim Dutton is the biggest mover of the race, down 5 spots, but we won't talk about that. We won't talk about a fearless leader here like that. We wouldn't do anything quite like that. But yeah, right now Ian Wilson,
there
is
is
top
hopes.
mover.
David Wells and Paul Bailey just kind of getting into it, and so kind of, I don't know if you got a chance to check that out, see what happened between those two.
Take a look at it right here, as this is David Wells.
Just spin.
Getting a little bit wide right there, sliding sideways. And I'm not sure where the incident with Paul Bailey came from, so we'll take a look at Paul Bailey here. This was in turn number 4, and I'm guessing this may be just going a little bit wonky through turn number 4 and drifting it, ends up looping it around here, and the Jägermeister 569. So I'll get it back on track and get back going. No harm, no foul there. But out front, it's a 2-second lead for Noah Bourgeois, as Mason Smith was able to chip into the lead there a little bit on the last lap, but still a 2.1 second lead. And then Mason Smith has got a 3-second lead over Craig Jancic. Jancic a 4.5 second lead over Johan de Roy, and then 1.5 seconds back to Bryce Reiner. So the top 5 really spread out here. Reiner has gotten past Chris Hamilton, so that is one of the battles towards the front of the field. And we'll take a look and see how that pass transpired through the infield. And this is one of those sections, Jimmy, where I talked about, not all these hairpins are created equal. And right there, kind of the second hairpin, if you will, on the track, it's one that you have a wide entry. But because you have a wide entry, it allows that inside to kind of be opened up if somebody wants to dive to the inside and steal that spot.
Yeah, that's what you gotta, watch out for. Somebody entering the danger zones, they call it. Definitely a spot you really don't try to throw your nose in. But, if somebody dives down in there and you're on that outside and go to turn into the apex, if there's somebody there, now it becomes your fault, because they're, even if they made the late move, they're alongside. That spot's no longer available for you to turn into. So you can end up taking yourself out, which is the bad part about it. So, but yeah, right now drivers are doing a pretty decent job. Right now it's an Bourgeois out front of a Mason Smith, Craig Jancic, and then Johan has moved up in the 4th. It's only dropped down 1 spot from his start, but so him and Craig Jancic, the only ones switching spots in the top 5. Chris Hamilton up 3 spots in P number 6. Jesse Mosley down a spot in 7th. Javi Sierra down a spot in 8th. Jason Phillips in 9th, down a spot, and Kyle Kober up 1 spot to crack that top 10.
Still the biggest mover of the race is Ian Wilson, up 5 spots. Taking a look here at the battle between Glenn Lazan and Brendan Dilemma, 17th and 18th. They're both up 3 spots respectively from their starting position. But again, very little movement throughout the race here, and kind of understand it, because really there's kind of I guess you would say 3 passing opportunities, Jimmy. Certainly you got the passing opportunity into turn number 1. You got the passing opportunity after the Senna S down into to turn number 4. And then you know, possibly into the section where we're seeing Bryce Reiner make the pass on Chris Hamilton, which is turn, roughly like 7 or 8, kind of the middle of the infield there. So not too many passing opportunities, but they're all preceded by, you know, a technical section of the track that you need to nail, you need to get out of correctly to be able to even set up a chance for the pass.
Yeah, it's really a tough. It's actually a difficult track to pass on. You know, you got to get in a position that you're probably not. It's probably not the fastest way around. You're taking, you know, the outside around a corner, so you can get to the inside of the next corner, or whatever it may be. But you know, it's who you're racing around to. Can they give you that room, or will they give you that room without causing any issues? It's a very uncomfortable place to kind of pass in almost all the corners here. There's nothing that's really good unless you can get a nice clean pass coming out of the final turn up and over the hill, or somebody got a bad exit out of the last turn. But that's kind of hard to find here at CSRL. A lot of the drivers definitely on their A game when it's you know, when it comes to driving around most of these racetracks, and doing a good job here tonight. You know, they do battle hard, but they do battle clean, and that's pretty much all the way around the track. So that's why we have a lot of clean races. Most of the calamity that we ever see, for the most part, is usually lap 1, as everybody's trying to stand their ground.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the cars trying to go 3-4 wide into turn 1, as we see a lot of times. This time it was actually Craig Jancic trying to go to the outside and trying to pick up a position or 2, but had to relegate himself back there into 4th after the Senna S's. I want to thank our sponsors here for the series, Sim Racing Speed Hub, Martin PC, and 40 Racewear for their sponsorship of the series, and then also Digital Sim Sports for sponsoring the moment of the race, week in and week out. We got Ace Motorsports sponsoring the fastest lap of the race, currently being held by Noah Bourgeois with 130.65, as only 4 drivers have clipped that 131 second range right now, being Bourgeois, Smith, Jancic, and Reiner. As Jancic now going to be the first one in the pits from the front, and this could be a first that we've seen maybe all season. Jancic, first one in instead of being one of the last ones in.
Yeah, maybe just trying to stir up the pot, getting the leader's head a little bit under circumstances, and you know, maybe, you know, make that a little bit of pressure for that 5 and 6 to kind of get up there and get as good as pit stop as the number 88. So yeah, it's a good one, and obviously you got to be careful coming out, you know, of the pits. You know, it's you know, it's not just a straight shot out. You know, it's make the sharp left out around the corner, to the right, and then, you know, the left, and then always stay all the way to the left of the blue cone, because if you don't, then you get a bad exit, and then next thing you know, you get black flags that you have to deal with. But yeah, good run. I think a good pit stop there for Craig Jancic. Finds himself back in about 11th place right now with that early entry. You know, and will any of these cars that are still out there hold him up if he catches up to them?
It's a good battle right here as Reiner trying to get himself back up into the top 3, as he is right on the back bumper here of Johan de Roy. As we'll see if Bourgeois is going to stay out here another lap, but Mason Smith now is going to come in the pits. We'll see the battle here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as you got DeRoy, Reiner, and Hamilton. And it looks like DeRoy is going to come in, Hamilton going to come in as well. Reiner's going to stay out, but Javi Sierra, Jason Phillips, Kyle Kobler all in the pits as well. Take a look back here at 9th place. Dave Tilfer, we'll see if he brings the 12 in. He indeed does. Greg Pisano right behind him. He's going to come in. Greg Jancic now is going to be able to pass all of these drivers. We'll see how far he can make it up there. More importantly, we'll see if he can get past Mason Smith here, leaving pits, coming down through the Senna S's, through the access road. And it looks like Smith is going to be able to hold, serve, and stay here in what should be 2nd place. To see him, or Jancic trying to get over there, trying to get a little bit of a draft to get up a little bit closer. So the short pit worked out a little bit for Jancic. He's able to get into the draft now of Mason Smith. So Mason's got to get those tires warmed back up here, get them nice and sticky to get him away from Jancic if possible. Waiting to see if Bourgeois and Reiner should be coming in this time, but you see that the gap, actually that's not Bryce Reiner behind. Bryce Reiner's 12.8 seconds behind. So that's a lap car behind Bourgeois, but should see the 5 and the 87 coming in this time, and if so, that will complete our pit cycle for tonight.
Yeah, just a few more cars ready to come in. Noah is in. This time does look like a pretty good entry. You don't see any black flags there, as these cars do have a pit limiter if you can hit it right. Just got to get slowed down before the yellow cone. And Bryce Reiner coming in as well. So those two cars in for their final pit stop here for the evening. So it's going to put, obviously, your leader in second. We'll see where they come back out as Mason Smith and Craig Jancic are now coming around down the front stretch into turn 1, but it does look like Noah Bourgeois is on his way out. The question is, how close will Mason be?
Not close at all, as just coming down through the Senna S's right now, and out of all 3 pit stops, the pit time kind of tells the story. Craig Jancic came in first. He had to take the longest pit stop with a 13.15. Mason Smith came in second. He took a 12.75 second pit stop, and Bourgeois coming out there with a 12.5. So gains a little bit of time even in pit road, and now the lead out to 3.5 seconds for Bourgeois. Smith is going to be back there in second. Jancic in third, not too far behind him. Bryce Reiner is going to come out in 4th place. Got a gap on DeRoy right now in 5th. Chris Hamilton trying to run down DeRoy to get himself back up into the top 5, as he was earlier on in the race. Javi Sierra in 7th, Jason Phillips in 8th, Kyle Kobler and Jesse Mosley for your top 10. Well, we got a second here. We're going to step aside for a brief moment, give everyone out there in CRAN Nation a little love to hear it.
Love to hear it. I'm here to love.
Sights and sounds here of the CSRL GT Series, round number 8 here at Interlagos. And you're seeing the best battle on the track right now, and it's involving Greg Jancic, but it's not for the lead. It's for second place here as No Bourgeois stepping out here once again. Not too far, not crazy, not 20, 30 seconds like we've seen a few times here in this season. It is a 4.5 second lead. You can see him in the distance looking from Mason Smith's windshield yet, but it is a battle for second for Jancic here tonight. He's trying to get around Mason Smith as the lights are on here for the GT cars, as the sun is starting to go down here. It is starting to be sunset here in Brazil, but the race is still not over yet. Never know what can happen. One little mistake from Bourgeois, if he happens to make one, and these drivers will be right back in the mix. But right now, that 5 isn't making any mistakes. He is not putting a foot wrong, and I know SDK is wrong a lot of times with the off tracks, but I mean, just looking at the off tracks, it looks like Jancic is doing anything and everything that he can to try and catch up to Smith here.
Yeah, I don't know if that number is correct, because that's a lot. I mean, I've seen them drive off. I don't even know if they have a limit area at CSRL, to be honest, Carl.
I believe they do.
I don't
bring that up right now. Let's see.
Event
rules, yeah, 16, and then every 7.
Well, I'm...
So 40 and now 41. I really don't think that's the case. But
I have 28. I mean, I have 28.
I'm showing 41. So yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah,
Let's see if. Let's see. I don't think this shows it either. I'm in like 7 on iRacing, so
yeah, I can buy that.
I don't even know if that's correct. I think it is.
Maybe a move here for Jancic around the outside. Now I'm going to try the crossover here on Smith. He's going to get a drive out, but he's going to be on the outside again. And he's not going to be able to cross him back over here to try and get the move to the inside. Oh, excuse me, of 12. Hopefully that's just me choking, not Mason Smith here at the end. But again, another good run out of 12 for Jancic. Is going to keep him close. Smith is going to have to maybe defend this time down into turn number 1, because that Ford is starting to eat him up on the front stretch. Smith goes far to the right. Will Jancic send it to the inside? Thought about it, going to dive back in line. Maybe just a little bit of a fake out there to try and see what Mason Smith was going to do, but Mason did not bite. This is allowing Bourgeois to stretch his lead out even further. Actually 3 minutes left in this race, so most likely we'll see the white flag next time by. And for Bourgeois' title hopes, he's hoping that Mason Smith can hold on.
Yeah, it'll definitely help Noah's case. He's had a few less races that have been consistent to put him up in the running. Why he's back so many points. And yeah, I think Craig's starting to just kind of flop around back there, try to stir up Mason. But Mason, I mean, you've raced against Mason as well as I have, and very rarely have I had the opportunity to go side by side with Mason. But Craig pushing the issue and being able to get a nose in there on Mason and gets the pass made.
Yeah, big pass late here in the race. Now can Mason stick to the back bumper and get himself a drive through the final corner? Gets a good rotation through there. Craig goes a little bit wide, so Smith may be close enough to see if he can make a move here as we take a look at the front stretch. If we can here real quick. Come on, where is it?
Or just pulling away, man.
So no white, either no white flag or Marty fell asleep. So no guarantees here, but Craig Jancic able to hold on for this lap, and now looks like Mason Smith really attacking those curves through the Senna S's to try and get a run maybe down into turn number 4. He's close, only 0.2 of a second back. You see Jancic trying to go defensive already. Will Smith stay out there, make a move? No, he's going to tuck back in line here and go through the infield.
Yeah, that area right there, that downhill into that corner, like I said, it's a lot slower left-hand turn than you'd think. And You don't want to send it there. It was probably a smart move on Mason's behalf to get here. Now he needs to kind of see if he can stir the pot here with Craig Jancic through some of these S's and take advantage and get a move made. If not, his final turn, I mean, his final attempt is in that last turn.
He's able to stick close to him, and it seems like he gets really good rotation entering the corner. Just not sure he's getting the power down as much as Jancic is out of the corners, and that's really where it's hurting because he needs to get a good drive. You know, for instance, right here out of turn number 12, to stick with him. You see he rotates in very well, but it's that drive off, and that is not going to help right there. That can be all that Jancic needs to stretch his lead out here over third place, Mason Smith. The white flag now is in the area. You see Barney on the right-hand side there. He did wake up. It is the white flag here. Last lap around, Bourgeois has got a 5-second lead over now Jancic in second as we get a car off the track. Looks like it's Zane Bierman off the track. Mason Smith in third. Bryce Reiner. Johan DeRoy, still a good showing here for his first race in CSRL. Up there in the top 5. Chris Hamilton, Javi Sierra, Jesse Mosley, Jason Phillips, and Kyle Kobler for your top 10, but pretty good battle right here. Back a little further in the top 10 as you got Jesse Mosley in 8th, Jason Phillips right behind him, and then Kyle Kobler right behind him. So maybe this battle not quite over just yet as we're on the white flag lap.
Yeah, they obviously all over the track with a few pretty close races there. They're racing back there, is obviously being one of them. But yeah, good race I think so far for all the drivers here tonight. A few not having the results they wanted, like Jim Dutton obviously with that early incident to send them off track losing that rear wing. But overall I think a pretty good race here tonight as Noah Bourgeois is out in the last corner here, Carl, to come down to victory lane. The major crisis for Noah not to win this one here tonight.
Well, I'm figuring out why Noah Bourgeois won this race as well. I know SDK makes some errors sometimes, especially with the off tracks, but Noah Bourgeois, fastest speed here tonight, 447 miles an hour. That's pretty fast around this track. Not sure what he was doing, but that is pretty fast. Either way,
SDK is garbage tonight.
And now it's shifted back to normal. It is 156 now. But yeah, he was before that he was cruising. That's all I can say. Well, he's got exactly. There it is. Well, either way, Noah Bourgeois gets the win here tonight. Jancic and Mason Smith for your top 3. Taking a look at your top running gold driver, and it is right here, Kyle Kobler, looking to stretch out his points lead even further. He gets a top 10 here tonight, but it's good enough for a top spot in the gold division. Top running rookie driver, again, as mentioned, Johan DeRoy getting a great run here, finishing in the top 5. And then the top running silver driver back here with typically our resident BMW driver, but out there McLaren here tonight. Top running McLaren, top running silver driver coming out of the final corner as John Espada is going to get the top spot here in the silver by about 1 3/4 seconds over Ian Wilson. So a good battle between these two McLarens here at the end, but it's going to go to John Espada. Get it done here in the 81. As the last few cars cross the finish line here, we'll get the final results up here. Just want to make sure everybody is done. Looks like that is the case. So, Jimmy, why don't you go ahead and give us our final results here for tonight?
Our results for tonight's race here at Interlagos is going to be Noah Bourgeois with the win over Craig Jancic and Mason Smith coming up home in third. Fourth place would be Bryce Reiner with Johan DeRoy in fifth, Christopher Hamilton in sixth, Javi Sierra in seventh, Jesse Mosley in eighth, and you have Jason Phillips, Kyle Kobler, Herbert Pineda, Tyler Torville, David Tilford, the number 12. Mentioned at 13th. I thought he was in 12th. I was going to break some up. I guess not. Cesar Colon Torres, 007 in 14th. Frank Pisano in 15th. Christian Torres in 16th. Glenn Luzon in 17th. John Espada back there in 18th. Ian Wilson In 19th, the biggest move over the race, up 6 spots there. Bill Burrell will finish in 21st. Michael Galan back there in 21st. 22nd, Zane Bierman. 23rd will be Paul Bailey. David Wells in 24th. 25th is going to be Red Dilemma. Jim Dutton finishes in 26th, and Brandon Potts finishing, bring up the rear here tonight. Don't think he was out there tonight, but I want to give him a shout out for at least registering here tonight and at least attempting, whether something went wrong with the computer or you had to go, but just give them the shout out that they deserve anyways.
I want to thank everyone out there in CRN Nation for tuning in here tonight. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe. Get you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer. I want to thank our sponsors here for the race. Ace Motorsports for sponsoring the fastest lap of the race, which I believe, yeah, it was going to Noah Bourgeois with a 1:30.65. Thank Digital Sim Sports for their sponsor of the moment of the race. We'll see what the moment of the race is with this one. I mean, it's just a moment and it's just one turn, but you know, turn one on the opening lap is a pretty big moment for the entire race, and that was a good one there. But we'll see what comes out next week for the moment of the race here in Interlagos. I want to thank losing my train of thought here. I want to thank 40 Racewear, as they are the there you go, the makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 sim racing shoes, custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, while still providing the comfort needed for those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the original racing gloves for your feet. For Modern PC, they are focused on providing high-quality PCs, rigs, and components at an affordable price. Your investment in sim racing is exactly the same as racing with an actual car, and they take that same methodology at Martin. From the engine PC to the chassis rig, pedals, wheels, and shifter, you deserve components that match your desire to compete. This was a good one. Also want to send a thank you out there to the Sim Racing Speed Hub as well for their sponsorship. But we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up with our interviews here tonight, and we'll get our top drivers in here. Top spot in the Platinum, Jimmy, is going to go to the 5 of Noah Bourgeois.
Yeah.
Hey, Noah, Jimmy, and Carl up in the booth. You copy?
Yeah, I got you guys. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. It probably is not as good as yours, though. Yeah, I see you walked away here tonight pretty easily here at Interlagos. So I just want to kind of get your side of the story and how everything was out there, and how you got that vet out front and then started to pull away like it was an easy day.
Well, I wouldn't call it easy. Mason was putting pretty good pressure on me the first half of that race, but I was kind of looking through all the previous races, and I noticed that even though I was winning, I wasn't really like setting fastest laps or getting poles or anything like that. So given the championship is as tight as it is, I try to make it a point today to like check all those boxes. So I push hard for fastest lap, push hard to get the pole, push hard to get the win, and yeah, I got a good start at the very beginning, got a gap, and was able to save some fuel and just kind of get comfortable.
But good to see you out there pushing the limits even farther. We do know that obviously the championship, I think, is within range, but obviously just outside of that barrier where it makes it feel almost uncomfortable, and maybe mistakes will maybe be needed by your competitor, Craig Jancic, because he's been pretty consistent so far this season. But you walk away with the victory here tonight, so we wanted to say congratulations and give you some time for any shout outs on that car here tonight.
Oh, awesome. Shout out to everyone at CSRL, Core, everyone at CRN for putting on these events, putting on amazing broadcasts. You guys in the booth do an amazing job every week. Shout out to my girlfriend for letting me do this every week. She's been super supportive the whole way through. Shout out to my old man. He's been tuning in every week too, so appreciate his support as always. Shout out to my boys at FMR Motorsports. Kyle, once again, getting another gold win on his resume, so really good to see. And yeah.
Well, it's definitely appreciate the shout outs, man. It's always fun to watch the drivers out here be successful, and between yourself and your teammate and whatnot. So again, congratulations here tonight, and look forward to talking to you at the next one. We'll let you go celebrate with your friends and family.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
That's your top spot overall winner and platinum class winner, Noah Bourgeois, with the win here. Not sure what's happening. This, hopefully, if we zoom back there we go. As we'll get in our top spot here in the gold class, and that's going to go to the 97 of Kyle Kobler. Kyle, another good run for you, another top 10 here, and just stretching that lead out in the gold class even further. I mean, it's got to feel pretty good and feel like a pretty good position here heading the last few races of the season.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Just trying to, keep all 4 tires down and be fast is hard to do at the same time. So I'm just glad we can, I could get that done each week and kind of figure out what to do and where to put the car and whatnot. So
I mean, me and Jimmy talked about how much we enjoy this track. We enjoy running it. It's a fun track, and it's a good one to broadcast, but it's not exactly the easiest one to pass. And it kind of contributed, or in line with that is looking at the results from tonight, and very little movement. Normally we have 1 or 2 people with big moves up through the field or back through the field, but here tonight, I mean, not much movement. How was your race? I know you're up 1 spot from starting in 11th, but was it just kind of settling into your groove and just make sure you keep those tires on the track?
yeah, you really got to be confident on your brakes, I think, here to, get a good pass. And I think Bryce had a little bit of an whoopsie in the first lap, and he sent it on me on the first turn, but I saw it coming. So, and he's way quicker than me, so I just kind of let him have it. But yeah, trying to keep it in front of Herbert, I guess. I think he's behind me in the standings, so I want a little more, a little insurance, I guess it would be called. Trying to stay in front of him, and it's fun competing with him as well. He's very fast driver, so But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys had it in the broadcast, I had a little send on Jason Phillips on accident because I pulled out to take a peek where we were on track and missed my brake marker. But other than that, I just stuck the line behind him, and he was pretty quick the whole time. So
yeah, you kind of hung in there in the top 10 for pretty much the entire race. So it was a good race for you here tonight. Definitely a good points night. Even though you only beat Herbert by 1 position there, it's still it's better this way around than the other way. So looking pretty good here for the gold championship, but still got a few races left to go. Either way, congrats on the class win here tonight. Who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
just the same old Noah, the guys at FMR, and the wife and kid. So.
Yep. All right, buddy. Well, congrats again on the top spot here in the gold class. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
That is the top spot here in the gold class. The 97 here of Kyle Kobler. Kyle Peach Kobler, as I like to call him. But top spot. Exactly. Top spot here in the silver class, Jimmy, is going to go to the 81 of John Espada.
Hey, John, Jimmy, and Carl, up in the booth to copy.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Not too bad. Hey, you got the top spot in the silver here tonight. Give us a little rundown of your race, man. It's one of my favorite tracks, so it's always good to see people do well here.
Yeah. It's definitely a fun track. At the start, Ian got ahead of me a little bit, and then it took a couple laps, and then I got by him. And then a couple laps after that, I had a little incident. I hit the wall a little bit, not too much damage. I was able to keep racing. And then I got close to him, and I seen he was pitting. And so I was like, well, let me pit with him. Maybe I can get out in front of him. And I got out in front of him, and I was able to stay there.
Yeah, it's always good when a plan comes into play and it actually works.
It's a good feeling. Yeah, definitely.
You get in that mode, you obviously get in your area where you're things kind of settle out after the first lap or so, and you're like, all right, these are probably the drivers I'm going to be around most of the evening, and you're running your laps, and you're like, all right, I just want to get by this one guy, whether it's for your points or whatever it may be for the league, and if it comes down and you get that, it almost feels just as good as a win.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, man, for sure.
But either way, great run here tonight, man. I can't be more thrilled to watch you guys each and every week. So look forward to seeing you in the upcoming weeks here as the season is starting to kind of wind down here to see who will actually be the champion for each division. So I want to say congratulations on that win here tonight and give you a little bit of time for any shouts you might have.
Thanks, man. I just give a shout out to the whole CSRL crew. Good racing. Shout out to my kids. They like watching and stuff like that. So that's about it.
I'll definitely appreciate the shout outs. I'm sure your children do as well. And speaking of children, we'll let you go celebrate with your friends and family.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
That's your top finisher here in the silver class, John Espada in the 81. The one that finished right behind him is also going to get a chance to talk to us, and it's certainly been a while, but finally get a chance to talk to the 58 of Ian Wilson, as he is tonight's Chris Burrell Hard Charger / Sandbagger Award winner here tonight. So, I mean, Ian, first of all, I guess welcome to the booth. Ian, do we have you?
Maybe not.
One more check for Ian out there. Do we have you? Try pull him up here one more time. Ian, do we get a copy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, there we go. There we go.
Out.
Well, first of all, as I mentioned, welcome to the booth. Finally get a chance to get you up here.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
Well, it is a track, as I talked to Kyle Kobler about, that it's a fun track, but it's a tough track to pass on. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the Hard Charger only 6 spots that you moved up from the start of the race up from 25th, but it was enough to get the Hard Charger award here tonight.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I was just trying to stay out of trouble and stay on the track. I had a fun time chasing John Espada around for a while. He slid off. I got by him, and then I made a pit stop, and he came in right behind me, and he stopped ahead of me, but he got out of the pits ahead of me, and so we just carried on like that.
Well, I mean, one thing I'm seeing, we don't get a chance to talk to you a lot, but now with the new divisions, it's certainly an option to get you up here as well, and just missed out on the class win here tonight. But I have seen improvement, and it's one thing that's cool when we're a part of series, season in, season out. We certainly see it in the series that we run over in Core, but even the ones that we broadcast, we see some of the drivers that have been here for multiple seasons. And I remember obviously your first few seasons in here, just kind of getting your feet wet, and it seems like you're able to keep the car a little bit more under control. Is it maybe just the experience of running so many times? Is it kind of just locking in with this McLaren here this season? But it seems like it's been a little bit better of a season here for you.
Yeah, it's just repetition and just concentrating on, hitting the marks. And, I started out with a BMW, and I couldn't make that thing turn at all. And when the new McLaren came out, it had the old McLaren for a bit too, and I wasn't any better in that. Then when the new McLaren came out, I found I was a little more comfortable, and I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the new McLaren definitely feels a little bit more planted than the old one did, and makes it a little bit easier to handle.
That's for proof
sure.
positive.
Yes,
I was a huge fan of the old McLaren.
Well, either way, you are the Chris Burrell Hard Charger Sandbagger Award winner here tonight. So congrats on finishing up here in 19th, up 6 spots. Before we let you go and get out of here, who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Oh, thanks for everybody for participating, and thanks for the fast guys that take their time to get by us and let us get out of the way.
Absolutely, buddy. Well, congrats again. We'll let you go celebrate. We'll see you next week out there on the track.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, sir.
That is your Chris Burrell Hard Charger Sandbagger Award winner here tonight, the 58 of Ian Wilson, finishing back there in 19th position, up 5 spots after starting in 25th. That is going to do it for round number 8. Again, next week we're going to head to Suzuka for the 45 minutes there, round number 9, before we have the week off, and then the final 2 rounds at Watkins Glen and at Bathurst. So 3 more races left in the schedule. We're over 2/3 of the way through this thing. We'll see how the points shake up here a little bit. Certainly going to be a bigger lead, and maybe big enough that one more good finish for Kyle Kobler in the gold division, and he could be wrapping that thing up with 2 races left, but maybe getting a little bit tighter up there in the platinum, and we'd certainly love to see that, and love to see a battle go all the way down to the end. But you're going to have to keep tuning in to CRN to see that. You can keep tuning in to CRN here tonight, as we're about ready to start our second broadcast of the doubleheader here tonight with the Pit Road Speed Limit Racing Series, as they kick off the season here, and should be a good one. So tune into that if you want to. If you want to watch a little bit more racing here tonight and some high-speed action there at the Super Speedway. But for myself and Jimmy from Interlagos, we'll see you at the track.